Blake with Ethereal TV with the 18th episode of The Last Piece to the Puzzle. The motto for me is silver, gold, and cryptos equals freedom because they are decentralized assets and they're going to be extremely needed in this extremely centralized future with the use of blockchain and all these tracking systems and these big corporations that plan to implement that, and they've already been ciphering people's information. Funny, I just won a lawsuit along with a million other people that Sony Vizio was stealing our information. I didn't even know it, but it was like a year ago. I said, yeah, I was using a Sony Vizio TV. They sent me the information to fill out, and voila, they gave me my $35 in Amazon Pay. So it was $millions lawsuit, but it was broken down over like millions of million people and things like that. You know how that goes. I don't know if you've ever been involved in anything like that with having your information stolen. I know a lot of people cashed out. I don't know how much when Facebook was stealing everyone's information, and they probably still are. But yeah, so let's get into the price action. Oh wait, 1 second before I do that, I want to stay consistent with the displaying of the t-shirts, and these will be available on ethereal.com here one day. I know I keep saying it, but like I said, you can always hit me up. You can message us on Ethereal if you know what I mean, want to know more about the t-shirts right now because they're extremely limited, honestly. So yeah, that's that. And definitely check out ethereal.com. And for the price action today, we have Bitcoin currently at $9,154.04. Litecoin is at $43.51. Ethereum is at $205.73. Gold is at $1,710.54, and silver is at $17.23. So yeah, Bitcoin is like trying to push up a little bit. Trying to break that 9.1 for like the, you know what I mean, the 10th time, and then hopefully hit up to try to break 10K for the 100th time in its history. But in my personal opinion, actually my factual knowledge of understanding, all these prices are manipulated and used to for people that set the prices to, do whatever purchases they want to make, or you know what I mean, they can manipulate the price, put one up, one down. If they want to buy some more Bitcoin, if they want you to sell your Bitcoin, they drop the price. Everybody, the exchanges are smart. If they want people to sell their Bitcoin, they're just going to drop the price because they need more Bitcoin, and everybody's going to sell them all their Bitcoin right back. And that's the name of the game that the market manipulators can play. But I think that hand becomes weaker and weaker and weaker the more they use it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I said before, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You know what I'm saying? So eventually that story gets really, really sour. You know what I mean? Because of nobody believes them, and it's a faith and confidence game in the game of fiat currency. It really is. That's why I like my hard assets, and that's why I feel that hard assets are the key to financial freedom. I always want to specify financial freedom. I'm not the person saying that money will change or save your life. No, money, this has been a long spiritual journey for me, but something that we can all understand, I feel like, and all connect on is the ability for people to be financially free, because it's a really amazing thing when people have the ability to move and create and experience in the ways that they want to. And that's important for me. It's important for the older generation. And I feel like it's even going to be more important for the future generations to come, of that need to create and be themselves to the highest extent. So that's why I like to say financial freedom. And the only way that is achieved is through decentralized currencies, because you cannot have anyone, especially a government or some big corporations, controlling the price of how things are valued. Gold and silver has always achieved their own value and found their own place in societies all throughout ancient history, if you do your studies. And it's a reason why they obtained their own value. Nobody's setting the price. It's saying people, it's been coveted for a long time. It's been valuable and precious for a long time. And people have worked hard to mine it and dig. And valuable hours of labor has gone to produce what now a printing press, or not even a printing press anymore, a digital dollar, to create the clicking of a mouse and the entering of a number can achieve. And that kind of brings us to the topic of today, which is Modern monetary theory, MMM. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. It's funny, when I typed it in, there's a bunch of new articles that came out about talking about it, because of course the unfortunate COVID virus, the corona, and the role that it's kind of played in damaging the economy, and why the Federal Reserve has needed to print so much money and give it to people. And I'm also even going to give my opinion on if this is a good or a bad idea, because that's a very polarizing subject when it comes to people involved and interested in the world of economics and finance. So the article that I got today is called Bitcoin versus Modern Monetary Theory. Yeah, by Alex Alex Lelasher. Okay, let me get the first section pulled up. It says MMT explained. In a nutshell, modern monetary theory, also known as modern monetary theory, modern money theory, sorry, or MMT, is an economic theory that suggests that government that issues their own fiat currency should print as much money as they need. So as you see, it's basically the ability for government or centralized authority to print as much money as they feel like they have to. And we see that that's basically what's going on right now. I mean, they pick and choose what businesses they think deserve it, which businesses they want to keep around, just like in 2008 when they bailed out all the car companies. The car companies are important. They provide a lot of jobs. At least this is the pitch that the maybe the car companies and the government they came to a conclusion, saying, okay, well, here we'll give you guys the money. But MMT kind of even goes deeper into that, where it's saying that everybody that the government feels needs or should have money, they can create it for without any labor or anything, just the word of mouth. Their money is gold, right? You know what I'm saying? I told you that. I said that you're a millionaire. Voila, now you're a millionaire. And I said that you deserve this. Voila, now you deserve it. I mean, that's just how modern monetary theory works. Only problem with that is it's by a very centralized force called a government. And I kind of feel like we have that right now. People say that this is capitalism, but most capitalists will tell you right now that this is not true capitalism. Obviously, I mean, it's, seeing that $7 trillion have just gotten printed in the snap of a finger, out of thin air, you know what I mean? And flew in and saved the day like Superman, you know what I mean? Like, here we the heroes, you know what I mean? Print, 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 print. And that's how it goes. And it seems like it's working. I mean, as of right now, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. If you pay attention to certain things, it might seem like it's working. Like, if you pay attention to other things, it might seem like it's not working. So that's modern monetary theory, kind of explains briefly. And this article was from Crypto News, and it goes in to say, according to MMT, government spending is not constrained by funds coming from taxation and debt issuance. Instead, the contested economic theory suggests that governments can print as much money as they require for spending, as they have a monopoly on the issuance of money. Opponents of the MMT highlight that endless money printing will lead to massive government debt and skyrocketing inflation. MMT supporters, however, believe governments cannot default on their debt because they can print more money to pay for it. Wow, that's deep, yo. Additionally, they believe that inflation can be combated with policy actions such as taxation, and that it only really becomes an issuance once real sources such as labor capital and natural resources have been fully exhausted. And they're talking about you, my fellow hard worker, the laborer. Once the laborer is like, man, I'm not taking this bullshit no more. And I'll get into later. We look at if I start pulling the charts of the dollar, you'll see how much harder that you're working for the money than how hard they were working back in 1913. Basically meaning that the value of your labor, because the value of the dollar inflates, and your labor if that's what you get paid in, that means your labor, your hard-earned labor, is deflated. And this is what pains me so hard about this world, this economy that we live in, is the fact that even when you are a hard worker, even when the people work hard, the system is designed to still work against them. And this is what Bitcoin and gold and silver is all about. Silver and gold were like the original forms of money. Obviously, we never would have got out of that use that currency, we probably wouldn't have been in this situation. But the issuance of debt, which is credit, one person's credit is another person's debt, right? You know what I mean? So the issuance of credit equals debt. You know what I mean? And I think that is the system that is being done away with. I mean, very rapidly. it's just my opinion, but I really see that most, like, it's going to be, let me see that you have it, and because of that, that would cause the prices of things to extremely drop. And a lot of people aren't spending their money right now. I mean, like, they're waiting for the bottom of the markets to start spending. If you look at the level of spending right now, it's dropped down. Like, Americans are saving now more than they ever had. And that's a big hands clap for my people, man, because we have to be very specific in choosing who we choose to spend our money with, why we choose to spend our money, because we have to put the pressure on them. Like, look, we know our labor is being devalued. You know what I mean? So, and if that's the case, you know what I mean, we have to make smart decisions about who you're going to consume with at the same time, because the value of the dollar is continually devaluing. I mean, and the dollar is always inflating. So that is, I think I got another part to that article. It says Bitcoin versus modern monetary theory. Whether you agree with modern monetary theory or not, what is clear is that Bitcoin challenges this economic theory. The world's leading digital currency has a fixed money supply and deflationary issuance model. Its total money supply cannot be increased by a central bank, and its issuance model cannot be altered by government policy actions. This lies in stark contrast to the fiat currency system, which is largely driven by government intervention. As most Bitcoiners prefer Austrian economics, it should come as no surprise that MMT is not a big hit among Bitcoiners. So, and like I said, I'm going to give you my opinion on MMT, but that's what they said about it in that article. And then here's another article about the dollar. It says why the US dollar constantly loses value. Your wealth is steadily evaporating. Why doesn't a dollar stretch like it used to? And I think this article, man, is like a really old article, but it's funny. It's like one of the only articles I found. I mean, really old. I think it was like 2014. I thought the date was on here. Let me see. I'm just seeing if I can see the date. No. Okay. Well, anyway, I think that this article was really old, like 2014-ish, and it's funny that I couldn't find any articles about the dollar losing its value, and these numbers were for 2014 based off of the amount of printing back then. So you can only imagine that this article is times 10 now in this coronavirus pandemic. You know what I mean? So, and this article is from The Trumper by Robert Morley. It says, ever wonder why your dollar doesn't seem to stretch as far as it used to? There's a simple explanation. It's worth less. The reason the nation's money supply is constantly being expanded. Between 1783 and 1913, the US dollar was a real store of wealth, except during wartime periods. Inflation within the United States was essentially zero. If you save $1 in 1800, 100 years later, you could still purchase approximately the same amount of goods with your savings. So that is a brief explanation. I'm not going to read a lot of that article, but it's just an insight to give you guys what's going on with the dollar. And here is another chart. I love these charts to see like what $100 can get you in 1913 compared to what $100 get you in 2019. Here you see the Lehman Brothers collapse and all these things, the dot-com bubble, and the oil crisis. You know what I mean? All these were times where the money just started printing to solve the problems. And this is like my ending point about modern monetary theory. I say, and I feel like Bitcoiners should feel this way as well, but obviously they're entitled to their own ways of feeling. But I don't think that article is right about how Bitcoiners feel about modern monetary theory, because modern monetary theory is normally going to end in a bad way for that currency. But if we do a great job of educating people about gold, silver, Bitcoin, hard assets, and the new wave of cryptocurrency, which you can put the cap on, and now there's a bunch of use cases in other areas of cryptocurrencies that we see. It can simply just take the power out of a central force to control money, and then we get real price discovery. So I say print money to infinity, let everybody get their chance at it, but people have to be smart enough to invest in these hard assets and to understand the the meaning of money in the first place. And if they do, then they will invest in these assets. And there's still plenty of time. This ship has not crashed yet. I don't think the dollar is going to go to zero tomorrow. I just don't look at it that way. This is a long game. But as we see, the tip of the iceberg has just been kind of cracked or risen to the surface, or however you want to say it, because of this whole coronavirus. Has put an extreme amount of pressure on the economy and on them having to print as much money to solve every little problem. And that is just the power that the government has right now. So I'm not saying that the dollar is going to zero tomorrow, but I am worried about the value of your hard earned labor, because all the Americans that I know, at least most of them, are very hardworking people, and I mean, and the value of their labor just gets stolen in ways that I feel like they're not really aware of. And there's also a lot of market manipulation. So I suggest just like Rizza said, diversify your bonds. You know what I'm saying? Just don't have everything in the same area, because you don't. I just don't think that people should be. I mean, people trust these banks more than, like, you wouldn't even people wouldn't even let their brother or sister hold as much money as they let these banks hold. So that just shows you how much trust that we give the banks and the system, and we think it's completely too big to fail. It's invincible, and I just feel like this was a slight eye opener that it's not. And if you paid attention to everything that's been happening, the economic system is not. And we have a new problem that money cannot solve, which takes me back into why it's so important to be spiritually balanced, because we're in a problem that just you just can't print your way out of this one. You can't print corona out of existence. And I see the US already threw like 3 billion to AstraZeneca to develop a vaccine. So they're trying to just print their way out of it. But we don't know if it's going to work that way. We don't know if the vaccine is going to work. I just watched I Am Legend, where the cure for cancer ended up being the cause of zombification of super zombies. So I don't know if a lot of people are even going to want to take the vaccine. You can already count me out. Like I said, I mean, there's just some things I'm willing to die for, and somebody trying to. And I feel like a lot of Americans feel the same way about getting this vaccination or needle in their arm of some type of, unless you have a chemical biochemistry lab in your house or whatever, and you're doing your own research on these vaccinations, you can take it home, crack the vial up, and put it under a microscope, determine that it's everything that they say it is, and that it's actually good for you and it's going to work. Bottoms up. Inject yourself away. But that's just how I feel, and believe me, somebody like me is working on developing my own laboratory in my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to be able to put these things under the microscope, from everything from food to water to air. Whatever we can get as much information on is going to be valuable to everyone. You know what I'm saying? So, but once again, that comes back to money. These microscopes are expensive. Lab equipment, I mean, it just gets back into the same problem that we're in right now, which is the currency must become free. The people's currency, their energy currency, must become natural and flowing with the natures of things like gold, silver, copper, zinc, all the things that people use to flow electricity and currents anyway. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, I even think things like zinc are probably going to outperform the dollar, like zinc coins and shit. You know what I mean? Because it only makes sense, man. And more people are going to have to become developers and makers of something. And there's already a bunch of zinc jewelry out there. Zinc is very good for the human body as well. So I mean, just the whole nature of our society kind of has went in the wrong direction, and it's okay, because we have the ability to make change. And is there anything else that I have on here today, man? I think that's it. Once again, this is your boy Doc Blake with the last piece to the puzzle. Peace.